Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening to us on iTunes right now, please go ahead and leave a 5-star review, 4-star review, just as many stars as you can spare, please and thank you. Appreciate all the reviews that you guys have left so far. Got a bunch of stand-up shows coming up. Comedians of the Compound will be back in Levittown, Long Island at Governor's February 26th. And then I'll be at the Wormhole in Savannah, Georgia, March 19th. Then I'll be heading to Florida to do Side Splitters in Tampa, March 20th. And then Comedians of the Compound will be in Atlantic City, April 22nd and 23rd. Also, my album, my first stand-up comedy album is gonna be released March 15th. So I am currently in the process of putting together scheduling a big, I guess, like, media tour. So I'm really excited about that. Gonna do some shows. Definitely gonna go back to the Blaze in Texas. Yeah, and I will let you guys know as soon as you can pre-order, which would be a couple of weeks in advance of March 15th. Quick shout out to our sponsor, Cushy Dreams. You know them, you love them. If you're dealing with any kind of anxiety, I highly recommend their stuff. I got a new read for you guys. Here we go. This is gonna be great. Do you feel like you can't avoid stress and anxiety? Ah, that's me for sure. Are you in pain or having trouble sleeping? I sometimes do have trouble sleeping. Or maybe you would like to have a calmer brain while you stay active. That's why our friends at Cushy Dreams have solutions. Cushy Dreams specializes in high quality smokable CBD, and CBD has been shown to help with anxiety, depression, inflammation, pain relief, and it just might work for you. They offer both indica sativa strains like relax, create, hustle, peace, energy, and dream. Plus, there's no hangover, there's no high. Go to cushydreams.com and use promo code CMP to get 20% off your next order. I personally really like the energy and the hustle strains. Whether you want to smoke beautiful bud or pre rolls, Cushy Dreams has you covered. Their popular pre rolled joints are rolled in organic hemp paper and feature an even slow burn. Flour is available in nitrogen sealed cans and now humidity controlled 1-ounce mylar bags. It's top shelf cannabis that ships directly to you discreetly to all 50 states. With Cushy Dreams, you experience the therapeutic benefits of CBD with full flower, full spectrum, and full flavor. We know you're sick of carts, vapes, and gummies and want to smoke your CBD. And now you can enjoy all the benefits of cannabis without getting high. Always organic, independent, lab tested. All this can be found on their website, cushydreams.com. Under 0.3% THC, smoking CBD gets into your system right away for those benefits. Skip the stress and anxiety with Cushy Dreams and don't be so stressed out. Also, I have done a little bit of a collab with Silk City Hot Sauce. I have my own hot sauce out. It's called Nightmare. It's a delicious verde sauce, great on eggs, great on whatever. Go to silkcityhotsauce.com and use promo code CMP. You're gonna get a couple bucks off this bottle. I think it's like $10 to start with, but then this will get you a couple dollars off CMP. So check that out. Yeah, guys, who doesn't like hot sauce? Okay, guys, I'm so excited that this guy is back on the podcast. And what better way to kick off Black History Month? No. I'm so excited to have him back on the pod. He's the baddest, most badass tranny in the whole wide world. That's how I'm introducing him. It's Buck Angel.
I love you.
Yeah.
I totally love you. You're awesome.
I love you. Actually, no, this is Buck History Month. Yeah.
Let me set everybody straight here.
Just that statement alone, I bet confuses a lot of people. Let me set you straight.
I'm confusing. That's that's the reality of it.
We're all confused. It's all good. It's so good to see you, Buck. It's been
Yeah,
a
you
long
too.
time. I
I know.
think you might have been within my first, I don't know, 50 or 100 episodes. So it's been a while.
Wow.
I can't remember the first episode you were on. But so you're living in LA. How was
Yep.
LA through all the last 2 years, basically, all this
Look at my
craziness?
face.
I like the beard. It's
Oh,
working.
thank you. Thank you. It's a mess here. I'll be honest with you. It's a mess. We have the most insane homeless situation happening I live literally right in the middle of Hollywood, and I just can't even believe it. It's not cool. It's not homelessness, right? It's mental illness that has
Wow.
really taken over this, and crack addiction and methamphetamines, and they're dangerous. They're stabbing and killing innocent people. It's gross. It's just gross.
So you don't think you think it's more than homelessness. You think that there's just a ton of ignored do you think
Yep.
there's more mentally ill people than there was when you first got to LA?
Yeah, well, I was born and raised here, so I'm a
Okay.
total fucking LA dude. But that being said, oh my God, it's changed drastically. And also 100%, I believe that it's more mental illness than it is homelessness, because homelessness on some level, it could be economics or choice, where I think a lot of these people, I watch them, they're like, and that's not homelessness. That's something else. So yeah.
Yeah. It's been crazy in New York too. Like, I'm a
Mhm.
born and raised New Yorker. I mean, people would beg to differ with that because they don't consider Long Island to be New York. But I've, like, lived and worked in New York, like, pretty steadily the last, I don't know, since 2005. So and now, I
You're a
mean, I
New
live in Westchester, but
Yorker.
I'm in the city, like, every week,
Yeah.
doing my radio show. And it's like, I can't go into the city without stepping over somebody passed out, like, surrounded by needles. It's just so
Oh,
common now.
it's not cool.
And
I
I
mean,
feel
really, we need to address that.
terrible.
Yeah, I do too. It's not like I'm saying, oh, well, fuck all these people. No, we need to address it in a way that says, how can we fix this problem and talk about the actual problem? Because we're not talking about it's home. No, it isn't. There's an actual drug addiction problem. We also have a mental health problem. There's many layers to it. It's not as simple as they're just homeless. I mean, that's how I feel about it. And if we don't really get down to the people don't want to talk about mental illness. It's the same in my community. Everyone acts like there's no mental illness, in the
Mm.
trans community. Of course there is. On some level, I have a mental health issue. And so I talk about it all the time. And I really believe it's important that I address that and say, I have a mental health problem and I had to fix it in order to be able to walk the world this way.
It must be so tough for you to, like, be a trans person and just acknowledging the fact that there's a little bit of, like, I don't know if you call it body dysmorphia or some kind of, like, there's a
Mhm.
mental disconnect between, like, how you feel, how you wanna live your life, and
Yeah.
how you were born with your body looking, and you were like, remember in our last conversation, you're like, "Look, I had to have surgery so that I could live in such a way that would make me not wanna be suicidal," basically, like, "This is what I had to do, like, this is the
That's right.
form that I am happiest in."
Yeah.
And you get a lot of backlash from that, from the majority of the trans
That's
community.
right. That's right. I do because I speak my look, they're so full of shit. And what I mean by that is don't tell everyone you're living authentic, except I can't live authentic, or if I don't follow the rules and I'm not part of the trend. I transitioned before half of the people that are even like talking
Before it
about
was
this to
cool,
before it was
honestly.
cool. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, the fact that you people talk to me like that, I don't have any respect for you either. So you're not being honest. That's why they don't like me, because I'm being honest. I'm being honest about I'm a biological female. I'll never be anything other than that. I present to the world as this dude, and everybody I am honest with respects me. You respect me, everybody respect me. I have no issues calling me he, being a dude, none of that, because I'm honest to you. I don't try to hide this weird space, and I don't know why they're trying to hide it. The whole reason you're trans is because you're born female or male and you want to live the other way. That's a trans person. So I don't know what those people are doing, but they're hurting me and I won't stand for it. And I don't like the way that they're representing me, which is kind of bizarre.
I mean, obviously you're a tough dude, and as without knowing you super well, like, it seems that you can handle a lot of it, but I'm sure there are
Yeah.
days where it does get to you,
Yeah, it
and
does.
I wonder if a lot of it comes from, like, people are less likely to, like, misgender you or, like, call you the
Mhm.
wrong pronoun because you
Yep.
pass very easily
Yep.
as a guy. So, do you think a lot of this anger in the trans community comes from just people's own anger with themselves? Like, "Fuck, I'm
Mhm.
not passing, and I wish I was,"
Yep.
and they're jealous of others, like
Yep.
yourself and Blair White, who can pass no problem.
That's right. Me and Blair are great friends. Now, that being said, we choose to do this. This isn't natural, right? I have to shoot testosterone. I have to work out at the gym. I have to really I did this to myself. It's not something that naturally came. So when people say I have passing privilege, I'm like, wow,
Like
really?
it's easy. Yeah. Like it's
I work
like,
on this daily. I like go to the gym every day. I like, really make an effort to be as masculine as possible. So this passing privilege is a cop out. It means they're not willing to do the same work that I'm doing, yet they want to have the same respect. And to be honest with you, I don't care if you want to pass or not. That it means nothing to me. All I want is for people to understand we're not all the same. And we're not, it's like saying every woman is the same, right? Or every person is this way is the same. We're not all the same. We're all humans, but we have different ways of being. And I have a different way of being. I want to live as a man. I don't want to live as a trans person. And I don't want to be a trans person. I'm the first one to tell you, I wish I was born a man. I don't want to be trans. It's not beautiful and fun and easy shooting testosterone every week in my ass. I hate it. But I'm here and I do it.
to me, it seems like more work to be a trans guy than certainly than being like a bio female, because like I have just started getting back to the gym like last week, and I'm like,
Right
oh
on.
God, I'm like so sore over doing like what feels like nothing. And to like maintain your like bulk, yeah, you gotta eat it like not only the hormones, but you're probably
Yep.
eating a ton of protein. You
Yep.
have to lift heavy.
Yep, all of it. And I'll be 60 in June. And so,
What? You don't
yeah, I'll be
look it at
60.
all.
Thank you. I can't even like I'm doing a big blowout 60. And I would totally invite you to come to my
Oh my
birthday
God, I
party.
would love to come. And it's so interesting because now it's like you've been on like testosterone. And I don't know if
Mhm.
you're on anything else, but like now it's almost like, and you're at an age where like a lot of like biological dudes are gonna start getting back on testosterone as well. Like Anthony Cumia, who runs Compound Media, he's been on cloud 9 since he's been taking T. So
It's a thing.
it's like
It's a thing.
you can have make some new friends and
No,
have
I
this in
got
common.
so many dudes are like, dude, how do you look like that? I got so many of my dude friends on testosterone. I'm like, I'm gonna change your life right now, dude. And I literally help because they're turning into old dudes with stomachs, and it's so gross. I'm like, what are you doing? You're a dude. You could like look so
Wait,
amazing.
so
Like you're
stomachs is
lazy.
a testosterone thing? I thought it was
It's
just like a
low
diet
testosterone.
thing.
No, it's also low testosterone. So one of the things is
Interesting.
low. When you have low testosterone, you start to gain weight here in your stomach as a man, and when you also lose your sexual libido, all of those things, you get tired. Is because you have low. It's same with women on the reverse side. When you start going through menopause, you get tired. You're like, you got to put hormones back in your body again. And that's why at 60, I look this way because I continually put testosterone and I have an energy level that's like a 40-year-old on some level.
Absolutely, and you're I don't know, you just have a youthful spirit, but at the same time, you're an old soul. You're
Mm,
the whole package. You're triple threat.
right on.
So, that's interesting, and I feel like there's a lot of people listening, that are like, "Oh, man, I don't wanna have to resort to, like, putting anything that's
Mhm,
unnatural in my body," but at the same time,
mhm.
it's like, is it all that different than, like, wearing a push-up bra or, like,
Right,
wearing certain clothes that bring out physical attributes? It's like,
right.
I think we all wanna be the best we can be and hang on to our looks for as long as we can and, like,
That's right.
just be not even, like, to look like, "Oh, that lady got too much work done," or, "Oh," like,
Right.
I think it's good. I would never judge somebody for doing whatever they have to do to, like, look and feel their best, you know?
That's right. That's all my preaching, if you want to call it that, is to live authentically because people don't live authentic. And what that means is do what you need to do, not what other people want you to do. Do what you want to do. And so if I want to even do a round of steroids, I'm going to do it. I don't care what anybody says to me to pump myself up or to do a certain way. If I want to, just do what I'm doing, not get bottom surgery. People might not know that, but I don't have a penis and I chose not to do that because there's just way too much nonsense going on with that and they don't have it just doesn't work like a
Even still now,
penis.
like, because 'cause you've been talking about this for a while and you
Nope.
thought about getting it early on, didn't
Yep, I
you? And then
did.
you were like, "Oh,
Yep,
they just don't have their shit figured out yet. They
that's
wouldn't be
right.
able to do it right," and they still don't, it sounds like.
No, and I don't want to shame any other dudes that choose to do that. It's my story, and I choose not to do it because I learned how to really really have be okay with myself, if that makes sense. I'm perfectly okay with how I am. I get partners, I have sex, I'm totally fine in the world. I learned how to really move around. It's like, if you were born without arms, you're going to have to learn how to walk, walk. You're going to have to learn how to eat without your arms or do whatever. I learned how to really live in the world to be this different kind of man without, worrying about what other people think about me.
And what's fun is, like, you can mix it up, like, you could have a small one day, you could have a big
That's
one one
right.
day, there's so many
That's
different
right.
things, like wearables, Hey, you
It's so
can
true.
celebrate, Black History Month, you know what I mean? All
That's right. I can have a black one. Totally.
Yeah. It's fun. It sounds like a
That's
good
right.
time. Young Pei Ching. Hey, Chrissy. Hey, Buck. Thanks for coming to You Are Here. It was a
Oh, right
very good
on.
conversation to watch.
Excellent. Yeah, they're great people. I really had a great, it's so crazy. I got so much backlash from the
When did
community.
you do the show?
Sorry.
When did you do,
I just did You Are Here, I think 2 weeks ago.
oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, it was
Aren't they great?
awesome.
Elijah and Sydney are the best.
They're
They're
the best. I watched you on there. They're so sweet. Honestly, they're really cool people. Yeah, he did a little preaching with the Christian stuff with me, and that's fine. I don't
he
care.
gets that way, yeah.
I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me because I get it. You know what I mean? I do believe I believe more of a higher power and a universal kind of space, but it doesn't bother me. That's his space. And he actually was not disrespectful to me at all. Nope.
What what did you, cover in the show or anything that you felt
Mostly
like
trans.
you changed their minds on?
Trans and I changed a huge amount of their followers and listeners. I can't even tell you. It make me cry because honestly, I was a little nervous. I'll be honest with you. I'm in the hot seat and they don't particularly care for the trans community. I don't blame them. So I literally had to go on there to show that
You mean their viewers didn't? You
no,
felt like
their viewers were amazing. They were like sending me, thank you for being on there. You changed
wow.
my mind. You are what I believe is trans and you make sense. And I see why it saved your life. And look at you, you're part of the world. And, if more of people were standing up like you, we would understand trans. And I'm like, that's all I want people to say to me. They said, I don't necessarily agree with it, but how you presented it was so like, they're compassionate towards me. And I don't necessarily want to change people's minds and say, well, that's fine, but go ahead and do that. I just want people not to be hateful and to understand that this saved my life. And that's all people need to understand. You don't have to agree with me. You just have to say, okay, Buck, if that's what made you move through the world, then that's what we need. And that's what I got from the show, which is shocking.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
you get to the studio. Obviously, like the Blaze studios, they're huge. It's like you get there, you're like, "Oh my
totally.
god." You feel like I'm really about to be on TV, and
I
then
know.
I get there and I'm like, "Oh," I like watch the makeup artist. Like, I don't know if you like went in for to the makeup room, but you're just like, "Oh god, all the lights, all the mirrors." And then I'm like,
Totally.
"What do you do? What's that? What's that?" I'm like asking her about everything she's putting on me so I can try to like do it myself
Repeat
on a
it.
budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're like, "Oh," you're just like, "I'm on air." It's
I
very
know.
exciting and
It
but also
was.
fun.
All fun, exciting. Sydney's really cool. And like, we just
Yeah.
became friends now. We're all just friends. And that's all I want in the world is, they're over here and I'm over here. And, if you know me, I build bridges. It's really what my work is all about. I really believe I'm here to build bridges with these people who hate. And, my side, which is not even anymore, the left and the right are just insane. These far spaces are just losing their shit. And I can't be part of that. I'm really a middle person.
Yeah, and it seems like you deal with shit from all sides, like,
Ooh.
you're not necessarily like you're not a typical trans person,
Nope.
and but then
Nope.
again, there's certain, like, conservatives or certain Christian conservatives that
That's
would,
right.
like, no matter how cool and how much sense you speak, like,
That's right.
would never, they just still couldn't get over that mental
Nope.
hurdle.
They can't.
So
They can. That's okay. Honestly, really, Chrissy, I don't care. What I do, the only thing I care about is letting them just live my life. If they don't agree with me, it's perfectly okay. But what I don't like is when people start writing me hate and telling me I'm abomination and all this other nonsense. I don't like that because that's not fair. You can have your thought and do what you need to do, but why do you have to crush me? Why do you have to punch me in the balls every day? It doesn't make
right.
sense to me.
What is there's such a bullying element to, like, I think the woke squad, but, like,
Yeah.
also just trans folks in general,
Yeah.
like, not you, obviously, you're one of the cool ones, but there's this bullying element,
Oh,
and I think the whole just, like, "Let me live my life, let me do my
yeah.
thing," rings true with a lot of, like, libertarians and,
Yeah.
like,
That's right.
anarcho-capitalists and just many groups of people that I feel like are
Yep.
emerging more so now as we see
Yep.
more and more like just how the government fucks us over every day,
Totally.
constantly. And there is a bridge to be built there that just, hey, just leave me
That's
alone.
right.
Like you
That's
can
right.
do you, and but you're not bullying anyone to people who are gonna gravitate to you and love you and accept you.
Mhm.
It's like you don't even really have to work at that. Where I feel
That's
like the
right.
majority of the trans community, it's like they're bullying people into submission, like they're
That's
trying
right.
to bully people into
That's right.
accepting them when it's like, why ultimately, like, you're a trans person, you're gonna be going against the norm
Mhm.
anyway.
Mhm.
W it's like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think there's just you're a trans person, so you're obviously going against the norm. You have to deal with a certain amount of, like, lack of acceptance. Like, everybody in a sense is dealing
Yeah.
with
That's
degrees of
right.
rejection or lack of acceptance. It's
Mhm.
but then the mentality is like, "Oh, well, I have to, like, bully or, like, shoot people down to get them to." It's like, that's not the way to get anybody on your side. I just don't
Yeah.
know why that's not common sense to say.
Because I know why it's not common. First off, remember, I'm an older person, okay? So
You have
age always
wisdom.
plays. That's right. I have a lot of life experience as a woman and as a man, okay? So I'm coming into a space where a lot of these people have nowhere near the lived experience that I have. Number three, I believe in medical transitioning, and I also believe in gender dysphoria, and I also believe in mental health care, and I also believe that you should go through a cycle before you get to start taking hormones and surgery and all of that. And that's what they think everyone should just be able to self ID as trans and just move through this space. And I'm like, watch what's going to happen. And I said, mark my words, 5 years ago, I said it, detransitioners. Bam, here they come, thousands of them. There's a group on Reddit, I think, that has 25,000 people on it. What? How is that even possible? I don't even get it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's one of your tweets. Detransition is an actual thing that is growing daily. These stories
Yep.
just break my heart. You
Yep.
tweeted out, transition saved my life, so this hits deep. We must listen to these people in order to move forward.
That's right.
And I guess this is did someone message
Wrote
this
me
to you
that
or
today.
email?
Yes.
I'm a 26-year-old woman. I detransitioned last year after 3 years on testosterone and top surgery. I have worked constantly on acceptance of my body as it is, but I really struggle when there are things that I cannot reverse, and I will be forever changed by them. My chest, particularly, is difficult for me, even though my beautiful wife is so supportive and loves me as I am. How did you learn that self love with your body despite it looking different from how other men look?
Mhm.
I'm so grateful for your presence in the world. You are a light in the darkness for many of us. So I don't know if she went into detail about
Yeah.
why she transitioned in the first place or when she realized she'd made a
Yeah.
mistake.
Yeah, she didn't really, and now I'm in conversation with her, and she basically just said that she thought she was a man, and people kept telling her to transition, which is what happens a lot. Your peers are like, you should just transition because you're a masculine woman. Like what?
Like,
And then no
you
mental
could
health
also
care.
just be a tomboy. You could also just be
That's right.
going through something. You could just be, like, hating yourself because of an abusive situation, which is, like,
Totally.
totally fine, and lots of people go through it.
That's right. That's right. So now you see what happens when you don't do what I just said. Go through a system of mental health care, which is I had to do all of that. And I'm telling you, it's the reason I'm here and I'm saved because I took my time. I didn't just go and take hormones and cut my boobs off in 6 minutes like these kids are doing. So many of them are regretting it. This woman now has no boobs. Right. So, and she has masculine features and she has to live it. Luckily, her partner's cool with it, but not a lot of them come out of it that way. They come out very mentally hurt from the whole thing.
How long was your process? Like, it does seem like
Ooh,
pretty quick. It
forever.
seems like what's being put out there, especially
Oh,
too, what seems like a lot of, like, school age kids, which are
mm,
you're sponges to begin with. You're unsure.
that's
You're
right.
even in your 20s, I think you're still a kid. You're still
That's right. Totally.
developing and figuring out your identity. But
Yep.
it seems almost like, oh, you could be a different person in 6 months. You
Yep,
could
that's right. You can in 6 months, you can literally look like a different person. I had to go to over a year of therapy. Then I had to live as Buck, which means that I had to dress, be this person, even though I was a female, and walk the world as Buck so that I could actually get a feeling of how it was, how people were going to treat me. It's so brilliant what I went through. And then from there, I had to get a note from my therapist that said I could go and start taking hormones. And I was the first of my doctor to start giving a female, myself, to male transsexual hormones. He had no idea what he was doing. He's like,
Wow.
you're a guinea. He's like, you're my guinea pig. He actually said I'm a guinea pig. I'm just like, okay, dude, this is insane. But I didn't have a choice. It was life or death for me, 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I'll be honest with you. I kept saying to myself, if it doesn't work out, I'll kill myself. That was always my mantra. If I look like crazy ugly or whatever happens, I'm just going to off myself. That was always just in the back of my head. I never think of suicide anymore, ever, ever.
And you were like, you're serious because it's like you knew how bad it felt
That's right.
to
Gender
live.
dysphoria. That's
Yeah.
gender dysphoria. And when kids are like saying, you don't need gender dysphoria to be trans, I'm like, wait a minute, why are you trans then? That doesn't make any sense. It makes zero sense.
Yeah, and I don't know if the other half of this message is from that same
Mhm.
woman.
Yeah.
She said, "Thank you for your kind response. I am asking this question myself. There's a detransition group on Reddit where there are thousands of members, many of whom are depressed and talk about their difficulties with the transition. Now I'm in a better place. I do what I can to offer hope of some happiness, but there is such grief in this kind of loss. The loss of who we were in our bodies would have been unchanged."
Yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
the work you're doing to highlight the issue, especially the fact that all the transsexual people are not supportive of this strange new
Yeah.
culture, is so vital. I felt so alone in the LGBT plus community until I heard your views. Thank you for sharing as you do and fighting our battles.
Yeah, it really makes me feel like people are hearing me. And so, for many years, I was being pushed so hard from this community. They were trying to cancel me. Oh my God, that cancel thing was insane. I just kept focused. I just kept focused. I kept putting out what I wanted to put out, kept getting smacked and hit. But now I see what's happening from my years of doing that. This is starting to happen. I get tons of these letters and emails and messages from these youngsters who are saying, "My God, I wish you were around earlier. I would have heard you
Uh,
then." It's horrible. It's heartbreaking. It is. It saved my life. This saved my life. So when I see that, it's like, what? Like, why would anybody even think about transitioning in a way that they don't understand? It's forever. This is
right.
I'm not just changing for today and tomorrow I'm going to go back to a lady again. It
And
doesn't make sense.
you should think of it like, okay, you're gonna get a degree. You're gonna get like a 4 or 5 year
Yeah.
degree.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna take 4 to 5 years. And it's like, when you think of the whole rest of your life, it's not that much time, but
No.
that's, you know what I mean? Like, just
No.
just
But
mentally.
kids want stuff now. I mean, humans do, but youngsters, I have a 9-year-old. I know they want everything right now, right? They just want to have it all. So I know it's the same when you start seeing all these other kids on TikTok talking about their top surgery and how cool it is and how cool they are that that's really making other kids go, I want to be part of that. And that's the part that's dangerous. It is some part of an indoctrination. And then some part, it's like, when I was a punk rocker back in the day, I wanted to be a punk rocker. I wanted to be, with all the other kids. But this is taking it to the next level when you start cutting off children's breasts and, hysterectomies at 20. It's like, what?
Mhm. Where do you feel like the indoctrination is coming from?
The community, 100%, a very, very, very dark part of the trans community. Dark, seriously, dark and scary and weird. And I have nothing to do with that. And I really feel like they're doing it to indoctrinate. When you start indoctrinating children, that's like Nazi shit, right? That's what they
Mhm.
did. You get kids because kids are the space that you can say, look, we need to help the kids. And it's something deeper than that because I care about kids. And an 8-year-old should never be taking hormone blockers. An 8-year-old is not trans. An 8-year-old is somebody who might have dysphoria or might have some stuff going on. But the fact that they're calling the kids trans kids says to me that they don't want to help these kids. They just want to indoctrinate them, fast track them through this space when you could just be doing some mental health care and figure out maybe they're a gay kid. Maybe they're a tomboy. Maybe they're nothing.
Yeah,
That's,
maybe they
you know.
have gas. No. And I sometimes see, like, these kids, and I'm like, and I look at the parents, it's usually, like, the mom. I'm like, "Oh, this kid is being propped up as, like, some kind of woke trophy for the mom or for the
There you go.
parents, and it's
There you
about
go.
them," which is extra
Oh,
sick. I don't know if that's what you were speaking to
yes.
when you said dark.
Dark. That's what's it called, Munchausen by
Yeah,
proxy,
Munchausen
right? I
syndrome.
believe it is. Oh my God, I listen to these parents. I'm like, you're sick. You are sick because anyone who has a child that says they're trans, first off, they're hearing that from somewhere. I never said trans when I was a kid. I was like, I'm a dude, right? No kids say I'm trans. They say I feel like a boy or I feel like a girl. And that there's nothing wrong with a girl playing with boy toys or a boy playing with girl toys, right?
Right.
That doesn't mean you're trans. That means that you just want to play with boy toys
They're
or
just
whatever.
objects, just like liking certain colors is just colors. There's no, like, sexuality assigned to that, and do you feel like someone needs to, like, obviously hit puberty, but, like, come into their own kind of sexually? That
That's
has to
right.
be fully formed before
That's
the
right.
transition process even begins.
Yes. And now, when you start giving a child puberty blockers, oh my God, you are now putting your child in a space of not growth. We know that that grows the brain. So
Oof.
now, and they've all done studies that who have been on hormone blockers, their IQ lowers. There's actual studies of this. Not only that, bone density. Not only that, if you know who Jazz, Jazz, she has a show on one of those channels. She's a trans girl who transitioned at 8. She couldn't get a
Whoa.
vagina. Yeah, at 8, she couldn't get her vagina because it stunted her penis growth. So, and usually they make the vagina out of the penis. They couldn't do that, so they had to take her what is it? Some other part of her body and make it into a uterus.
Wow.
That was so insane. I'm
Pretty
like,
amazing that that's even possible,
yeah, it is
but
possible. But now she does. Oh, her colon. They took her colon to make a uterus. I'm like, oh,
who
oh.
needs a colon? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need your colon, but you definitely need a uterus. You don't need a uterus. You're not having babies. Like what?
Oh, man. Oh, man, and I
The
saw
mess.
something, I don't know if it's Twitter or TikTok or something, and, like, it was I think it's what you're talking about when you say, like, the dark part of the community. It was, like, a non-passing, I guess, like, male to female, or who knows, like, if you
Mhm,
had shown me a picture of this person years ago, I'd
mhm,
be like, "Oh, that could be just a drag queen," you know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
someone who's
That's
still
right.
very looks very male, but
Yeah.
fully, in a female, getup. And it
Mhm.
was like, this tweet was like, "Put I don't care what it takes. I don't even have the equipment down there, but, like, put a baby in me." Like, this person
Oh,
had this sexual, fantasy about,
yep.
like, getting
That's right.
impregnated, and I was like, "Whoa, that
Wow.
could either be maybe a therapist's dream or nightmare."
No,
I was like
or nightmare. But I bet
and
that
I
person isn't even
but
going to
it's
therapy.
confusing a sexual fantasy with,
Yeah,
like,
that's
with
right.
actual, like, what
That's
we're
right.
capable of biologically, and then we
That's
have
right.
that, oh man, that's rubbing off on our already very confused young
Yep.
people
Yep.
population.
And then, what happens when you start doing the stunting with the blockers is also your sexuality on some level gets stunted and things get stunted. Why don't you just let these kids go through the cycle of because they don't want them to suffer? I go, what? First off, puberty is part of life, and every human on
You're
this
gonna
planet.
suffer just growing up, like, life is suffering, you suffer as an adult.
I'm like,
Yeah.
they're trying to shield these kids from like, don't just misgender me. You can't do this. I'm like, look, first off, I get misgendered still, and look at me. So I don't know what you kids think you're talking about. And secondly, you cannot force people to use language that they don't agree with. You can never do that. They won't happen. We're getting such a backlash from this whole pronoun thing because people are pushing people to use language that they don't use. And I refuse to be a part of that space. It's why I put myself out there and I say, wait a minute, we're not all like that. I am a completely normal person and I don't believe in any of that stuff. That feels like indoctrination to me.
Wow. We got a couple super chats from Skinny Cecil. I have a 15-year-old cousin, born female, who's trying to have a sex change procedure, and I'm scared for him, not willing to seek
Yeah.
any sort of mental help prior to surgery.
No,
Ooh, 15
no,
is so young.
no. See that right there? She wrote it. They wrote it. No, not willing to seek any sort of mental help. Why? Why wouldn't this person want to go to a mental health? Because they're being told by the community that it's gatekeeping. They're being told that you don't need to do that. You know who you are. No, you don't. You don't know who you are at 15. That's bullshit. That is complete bullshit. And they're killing these kids. I just can't even believe we live in a country like this. It's just shocking.
This could be coming
Shocking.
from like, "Oh, I get picked last for dodgeball. I suck at sports. Let me
Total.
transition." Not to like, not to like take away the importance of like this super chat and this very real
No,
situation
I
that they're in.
know.
But it could be as little as like suck at sports or
Yep,
like
yep,
my crush doesn't like me back
yep.
or whatever. Like life is full of rejection and
That's
hardship.
right.
And
if you don't let kids have rejection, how are they going to learn to grow up to be powerhouses and to understand how to maneuver? I know how to maneuver through that stuff because I had so much suffering in my life. That little shit like calling me a lady doesn't do anything to me because I have literally been punched in the face my whole life. So I'm like, what? Who cares about that? But if we're not teaching kids to take the punches right now, we're going to teach these kids to be the whiniest. They're going to be just totally fucked up. They're not going to be able to do jobs. They're not going to be able to have a career. They're just going to be like crying their whole lives.
I mean, aren't we already seeing it? Anybody who has
Yeah.
seen like what's on
Yeah.
TikTok, it's like,
Oh,
oh, this is
oh.
a, and like hopefully, it's the mentally ill people that really seem to
Yeah.
create more content on TikTok than
I
anyone,
know.
and teachers who should be teachers.
The
It
teachers.
Oh no.
I'm like, my kid goes to a private school for a reason.
Oof. And I'm like, the teachers were not like this when I was going to school. We didn't know anything about them. We didn't care. If we
That's
saw them
right.
in the
That's
grocery
right.
store, everyone would be traumatized
You're
and
like,
we'd be like, just like pretend that nobody saw each other.
hilarious.
No teacher. I think, did I even have a gay teacher? No, I had like
I did.
maybe he was effeminate, but nobody like thought or cared what his sexuality could
Of
have
course
been.
not. You didn't talk about it. Now these teachers are like, "Woo, we're gay and trans and flags," and these kids are 6. I'm like, no. You are and also not telling parents. Oh, the one thing that really gets me is this new thing where kids have a safe space at school and they can come out as trans or whatever to the school, but don't tell the parents. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That is the worst thing you can teach a child, is to lie to their parents and to keep secrets from their parents, which is what you're doing. And I think it's the most horrendous thing you could ever do to a child, is to keep secrets. And you're teaching 10-year-olds to keep secrets from their parents as if their parents won't accept them.
And
And it's
also,
gross.
that's never gonna work out. Like, kids are terrible liars,
That's right.
and a good
That's right.
parent is gonna be able to suss that
That's
out.
right.
Like,
That's
you're
right.
being weird,
You're
like,
being weird.
and they can't keep that up because
No.
kids don't want to lie. They don't wanna
That's
have to
right.
lie. They don't
That's
wanna,
right.
they do it out of self-preservation or to
That's
protect one
right.
parent from the other or someone's feelings, but it's like, it's not a
That's right.
natural, and
Nope, it
kids are
isn't.
kind of still pure, they haven't been,
Yeah.
like, banged up by life yet, so
Right. So if the teacher's saying, okay, like, maybe you're trans, don't say anything to, this is like literally what they're saying to the kids. You don't need to tell your parents. They might not understand you. I'm like, but how do you know that parents are going to understand? You're putting that in their brain already, instead of going home and saying, mom or dad, I feel this way about myself. My kid he has so many opportunities to always be honest with us. We're honest with him. And that being said, I know that he'll never lie to us because we have such an open ways of communication here. We don't get mad at him for doing things that he maybe tried to do and messed up on, right? So
it
really
is
that open
very
communication.
it almost seems like they're trying to fuck up a generation of kids. Like, "Hey, you can
Yes,
transition without telling your parents, you can get
that's right.
vaccinated without telling your parents, you
Mm-mm.
don't even need your parents," other than
Mm.
clothing, feeding, housing you, other than everything, and
It's
it's
bizarre behavior because they're actually saying like they're saying like kids don't need parents. I'm like, what? That's the whole point of having a
yeah,
parent.
this is true. Mr. Tickle Trunk has a point, "Don't tell your parents" is grooming.
It's grooming. There you go, my friend. Great. That's right. It's
Yeah.
full on grooming.
'Cause if
That's
that's
right.
true, what else is true? If, like, you can get a kid to it's
That's
like
right.
now you and this teacher have this secret relationship, like, that's
Ooh.
already not
Mm-mm.
appropriate.
That's right. That's creepy. That is creepy. That is an adult. And what are
Yeah.
you doing with a child? That's my child. I'll tell you what, if you're doing that to my child, you do not want me to show up to your school, my friend.
Mhm.
All hell will break loose in that school. I've seen parents go off. It's awesome. That's the one things I like about TikTok, when parents go off on the teachers. What are you teaching my kids without telling me? And I don't, that is not okay. You're supposed to be teaching math, English, geography. Why are you teaching about the rainbow and the unicorn? That's
Right, they're
not.
not gonna be quizzed on, like, if you like dicks or not, like, that's
That's
not
right.
on the test.
That's right. And that someone said, "Oh, I think my 4-year-old is gay." I'm like, "Oh, you're so wrong. You're just wrong."
Like, he's 4.
He's 4.
I'm sure you saw this, from Dr. Phil, Matt Walsh, who's very conservative. He has a show on the Daily Wire. I don't tend to agree with most things he
Yeah,
says just because I
yeah.
feel like he's a little too conservative for my
Mhm,
tastes,
mhm.
but I was enjoying this clip of him on Dr. Phil where so here's his tweet. Here's the part on Dr. Phil where I demonstrate that the gender experts cannot even define the word woman or explain what they mean when they use it. So I'm just gonna play this short little clippy.
To other members of the panel, actually, because just like the 4-year-old can't answer what is a girl, well, this is one of the problems with this left-wing gender ideology, is that no one who espouses it can even tell you what these words mean. Like, what is a woman? Well, can you tell me what a woman is?
No, I can't. Because it's not for me to say.
Were you watching this? I'm sure you've
Oh
seen
my
this
God.
clip.
It's hilarious.
And I know how Dr. Phil, I mean, and I don't know if Blair White told you about, like, she was on Dr. Phil. They scrapped her whole episode, I think, because she didn't fit into
That's right.
the role that they expected her to.
That's right.
And
so
yeah,
right about
just scrapped her whole episode. But I wonder if they're picking these people because they're not the best representatives.
Well, because they speak the thing that people want them to speak. They're
Mhm.
just followers. They're just part of the herd. They're not saying anything that makes any sense. I can't define a woman because that's not for me to say. Actually, dude, yes, you can because you were born a woman.
You're on Dr. Phil talking about it. You should
That's
know.
right.
You're showered and you're wearing a jacket. You should be able to explain something.
What are you doing there if you can't? That's the whole part of the conversation. And if you're non-binary, then you should know what a man and a woman is because then you know what non-binary is. So they're full of shit. And that was you're right. I agree with you about the Matt dude. He's a little bit too much for me.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think he made amazing points on this show, and none of them could answer him. They kept going around in circles because that's what they do. They try to trap you and they try to get you not to think straight. When he's basically answered the question, but they would not answer his question. He's like an adult human female, right? Or whatever he says. And that's, it's chromosomes, it's bone, it's all of the things that, make you a female. And so biology is real, people. Like, stop acting like biology doesn't mean anything. It's like the whole reason you're trans is because of biology.
Shouldn't you know more than the average person? Right. It's like, this is your
That's
life.
right. Why didn't you put me on the show right there, man? I blow those kids out. I blow those kids out of the water. They wouldn't even know. I'd have them crying. I guarantee I'd have them crying in their little fucking chairs.
They wouldn't know what hit them because they'd be like, wait, what? I'm being schooled by another trans person?
That's right, because that's why they don't have me on the show, because I'm like, really? Why don't you have me talk? Oh, me and Blair. Put me and Blair against those two. We'll rip them apart.
That would be very cool. I'm going to play the rest of this clip and see if I can find the moment where this happens.
For everybody.
What do you define a woman
I mean,
as?
Matt is good under pressure here.
Yeah.
And what does a female mean?
Well, that's
how do you define a
someone with female reproductive organs.
He's like an adjunct professor.
Here's the thing: when you're female, it goes right down to your bones, your DNA. So that's why if someone
she looks so confused. She's like, huh?
I know, it's so good.
No idea what they believed in their head, but we can tell what sex they were because it's down in.
He has to be careful not to come off condescending. He has
I know that's the one thing he does.
Your definition is that a woman is someone who is female. You said, right?
Correct. Is a biological female.
So what happens if we have?
It's like, they have Addison on here because she's got a beard and long hair.
That's why. That's 100%
as you just explained. Maybe doesn't have the ability to reproduce.
This is the classic Coney Island bearded lady vibes.
Oh my God.
I have answered the question. You stood up here and said trans women are women.
Yes.
Tell me what you mean. What is a woman?
Womanhood is something that, just as Ethan explained, I cannot define because I am not
but
myself.
You used the word. So what did you mean when you said trans women are women? If you don't know what it means,
right? So here's the thing. So I do not define what a woman is because I do not identify as a woman. Womanhood is something that is an umbrella term. It includes people
that describes what?
It could be a sandwich.
It could be a sandwich.
Identify as a woman.
It is not an umbrella term, by the way.
As a woman.
What is that?
Was to each their own. Each woman, each man, each person is going to have a different relation with their own gender identity and define it differently. And so trans women are women too.
Why are they clapping? But he can't define what a woman is.
You want to reduce, listen,
you want to reduce though. So
you want to reduce women, you want to reduce men down to maybe just their genetics, our genitals, our chromosomes, right? That's what you're saying.
You want to do is what you want to do is appropriate women. You want to appropriate womanhood.
Okay.
And turn it into basically a costume that could be worn.
That's right.
Ooh.
That nailed
He handled himself well here because I was watching it and I was like, okay, all Matt Walsh has to do is not lose his temper.
That's right.
He will look good. Because the moment you get very emotional, especially on a show like this,
that's right.
you get skewered.
That's right. Because you look like you don't know what you're talking about. That's why you got to be super calm and super direct. And those people were they were just spewing stuff. They were not saying factual information because facts don't count anymore. And he was being very factual. And they were like, female is an umbrella term. No, it is not. That is unbelievably fucked up to say to women. You are not an umbrella term, my friend. You are an actual woman who lives as a woman, is a woman, walks the world as a woman. And for them to say that is so disrespectful to you. It just hurts my feelings. I can't stand it.
I wonder if part of it looks like to a certain type of like guy that wants to transition. Do they think like life would be easier as a woman, or do you think part of it is like an actual sexual fantasy of like, because I forget what it's called, but there's an actual name for it.
It's called AGP, and autogynephilia.
Yeah, where it's like I want to dress up as the thing that turns me on, which doesn't necessarily mean that you're trans. It's a kink.
That's right. It's a more different, so cross-dressers. Okay, that's what a cross-dresser is. A cross-dresser is somebody who wants to wear female clothing and have sexual experiences as a woman. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that if you're doing it as an adult in a consensual space, whatever. That's your space.
Yeah, safely, right? Yeah.
Right, but to conflate it with trans and all this is wrong because it's not the same thing as I don't sexualize myself. I'm not here to like think I'm like this hot person and I want to like fuck myself. It's not gonna happen.
You are the trampod though. And then so I think this is what a lot of people have a concern with. So you have this like subsect of people with this particular kink. They're not trans, they're not transitioning. Right. They just dress as women because that turns them on. And then now it's in a place where it's no big deal. Like go to women's bathrooms, go to women's locker rooms, but it's like you're this type of person who's dressing as the thing that's turning you on. And now you're in a bathroom in a locker room full of women.
That's right.
We can't see how that's problematic.
But the thing is like, here's what I think. If these people want to be trans women, which is fine, I don't really care about that, why aren't they not respecting women's spaces, right? So I don't understand, why would you want to be a woman and walk that world, but have disrespect for women? Because I want to be a man and I have a lot of respect for men. When I transitioned and I started kind of hanging out and being a little bit more sexually attracted to men, that's a whole other story. But I started frequenting men's spaces and they were freaked out by me and I would leave. Every time I would leave until eventually I would come back and they started to get used to me and they started to understand me until they welcomed me in that space because I knew that I was a different kind of person and it wasn't comfortable for them. So I don't understand why these women, trans women, are just not understanding that women are upset about this. But if you meet them in the middle and talk about it, they'll be so accepting of you because you're accepting of them and you're not a woman, you're a trans woman. That's the problem. They keep saying trans women are women. No, they're not. Trans women are trans women. Different.
Yeah, it's almost like it doesn't feel like they're trying to be part of this group.
That's right.
Like it feels like you're trying to bully us out of our own group.
That's right.
And when you're like kicking our ass in all the sports, it's hard to have sympathy and empathy.
That's right.
For the cause, because it's like, oh shit. Because I was a college athlete, and this Leah Thomas story with she's the trans woman who's a swimmer at UPenn, and this is like a little bit of old news. This was like hotter news like last month, but I think back like, man, if I was still in college like competing as a diver at this time, like I was pretty close with the swimmers, I would be so angry. It's because people qualify for certain scholarships and what you test as a high schooler, like those times determine what colleges you could go to or could not go to, and then eventually like if you're good enough, the Olympics and all that.
That's right.
So it doesn't seem like there's much respect for biological women.
There is not. And so the community also hates Caitlyn Jenner. They hate her. Why do they hate her?
Because she's a Republican.
I don't give a fuck if I don't care. That has nothing to do with all of us are just like I'm like, whatever my politics are has nothing to do with me being trans. It has zero to do with me being trans. But as a transgender woman, that woman has thrown so much money to this community. It's insane. They seem to forget that part. So now she speaks out as a former Olympic athlete. She's like, wait a minute here, this is wrong. And she said the most profound thing in an interview. She said, I don't know what that Leah Thomas is thinking, but what she's doing is wrong. And she and she said, and she knows it.
Ooh.
I was like, bam, That's what we need. We need a trans woman to say that because it's true.
Right.
You don't think Leah Thomas knows what she's doing? Of course she does. She 100% does, but that's her ego right there saying, I'm a woman and I can do this, and go fuck yourself, which is gross.
And it's like, is it this idea that like women can just get away with anything? You know, like I hear guys who hate women say stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
oh, it's
that's
so
right.
easy to be a woman. You just
That's
get away
right.
with whatever. You can bitch your way out of a situation. You can,
Whatever.
other people can just pay for your lifestyle. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a misogynistic man
Yeah,
type
that's right.
behavior.
That's right. That's right. And that's why I don't understand trans women who are, and not all trans women. I have a lot of trans women friends who respect you and respect women and do not have the same ideology. So you have to remember that there is a lot of this community that don't agree with the loudmouths. Those loudmouths are a different type of the ones like me who are transsexual, who want to change, like Blair. And I have most of my friends all look like females and make an effort to look that way and walk the world as women. And they don't have problems because they respect women. And so this is a part of the community that's very dangerous now that we have, that's like created this some kind of ideology and because there's power in numbers. So I really believe on some level, the more power they're getting is because more people are transitioning, which gives this community all this, power to do these things. But it's not going to last long because people are catching on now.
You don't think so?
Nope. I do not.
You
I'm already
think the Democratic Party is not going to nominate a trans presidential candidate?
Well, that I don't know, but that could happen. But that being said, look, I don't care if they do nominate. Can the person do the job? Don't hire a person just because they're trans. That's gross. I'm not cool with that. Hire the person because they're a badass. And I don't care if they're black, green, blue, man, woman, tranny. I don't give a shit. Can they do the job?
Matter.
That's right. So it's like now we're hiring trans people because they're trans people. That's raw. I've never agreed with that type of being. Never. Never.
Yeah, interesting. It's good for Caitlyn Jenner because it's like that kind of means a lot coming from an Olympic athlete.
That's right.
Who's also trans. Like
that's right.
Kind of hard
knows.
to.
Because she respects women. She does. She respects women. She's like, look, I'm a transsexual. I'm a dude who became a lady. And now, you know what? And she understands that respect. And that's why they don't like her, because she doesn't toe the party line like me. She believes what she doesn't. She also, I think, says J.K. Rowling isn't transphobic like I do. And like that just gets your balls kicked in 24/7.
People love to obsess on this J.K. Rowling issue.
Crazy.
Here is a letter that you wrote to the LA Times. This was very recently. Thank you, LA. When did this come out? Oh yeah, just on the 11th. Thank you, LA Times, for publishing my letter and showing the world that trans people don't all share the same views about J.K. Rowling and Dave Chappelle.
Right on.
Another take on Rowling regarding Magic in the Potter reunion by Christy Karras on January 22nd. The outcry over Rowling's tweets is well known, but what is almost never covered is that she is not at all universally believed to be transphobic by members of the trans community. Those of us in the trans community who agree with her defense of biological sex find ourselves in a place of being silenced, bullied, and worse. Sadly, this was made evident by Dave Chappelle, who highlighted the story of his friend, a trans woman who took her life after being cyberbullied from her own community. Yep. I, for one, was grateful he highlighted this tragedy, but my voice was never heard. The media only seems to print the outcry rather than the support that Rowling and Chappelle have received from those of us in this community who have large platforms and who don't go along with the consensus view. And this is often because we are often silenced.
That's right. Right on. Thanks for reading that.
Oh, no, this is great.
I couldn't believe it. I cried. I'm not kidding. I cried when it got into the paper.
I was like, really?
Because I have sent 10, 15, 20 of these things to papers and nobody would print them. And I couldn't believe it because it goes against everything the trans community is trying to say. And so to have an opposing opinion on something so very, very, very delicate on some level is huge that the LA. So I actually I have more respect for the LA Times now. I didn't like them for a while, but I thought, okay, now they're literally having that. You got to let other people speak. You can't just have a, monolithic voice out there. That's not the way the real world works. It's gross.
What do you think is like, it was comforting to hear you say, like, I think it's not going to work. I think it's crumbling. What do you think is or was the goal of this sort of like typical like trans group think?
Yeah.
Like
So
the
I
toxic
think
kind.
I do believe that they wanted to indoctrinate a bunch of people because I believe it's more powerful when you get more people involved in it. And I also believe it's money. There's money behind a lot of this. You know, we have a lot of older trans women who are like billionaires who are funneling, you know, money into a lot of these spaces. That being said, the medical space has grown tremendously. Top surgery, bottom surgery, you know, all kinds of things. That's
Big
money.
Pharma's loving it.
Oh my
Yeah.
God,
All the
testosterone.
hormones.
That's
Yep.
right. That's right. So I, as an older person, and how hard it was for me to get my hormones, you can literally go into Planned Parenthood, or you can go on the internet. You can actually go on the internet, do a evaluation with a doctor like me and you right here, like saying they ask you 10 questions and then they immediately stamp your paper and say, okay, you're trans. Oh, here's a script for your testosterone. I'm like, this is out of
Yeah,
control.
you don't think they're getting a kickback just like every other drug they
There
prescribe?
you go. That's right. So I see, I think I told you on the last interview that I saw on Market Watch, which is a stock market website, telling people to invest in trans surgery, and it'll be a $5 billion business in the next 5. It's actually written right there.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
wow.
Where
Yeah.
did you see this? On like Market Watch?
I'll
or
send you
something?
I have
Okay.
it's look on Market Watch and then kind of just search around for trans surgery. You're gonna see it. It says invest.
Makes sense.
It's actually gonna be a $5 billion industry in the next 5 years. I'm like, wow, this is sick. Sick.
And it's like, is that gonna make people happier? I guess we'll
No.
see what the
No,
aftermath
that's
is.
what detransitioners are. My point. Why do we have so many detransitioners? We should never have detransitioners, or maybe a small amount, but the amount that kids are literally detransitioning is out of control. And so that's what the community doesn't want to see. And that's why I talk about it, because I believe they can help us. They can help us figure out, why are we making mistakes? I don't never want to see a youngster with no boobs having to live, or a hysterectomy at 16 and then going, why did I ever do that? And looking like me. I can never go back to looking like you, ever. I'm not going to be the ugliest woman in the world. So it's like, you know, it's not a joke. This is actually who I look like for the rest of my life.
Hey, it's not too bad though.
Because I like it. But imagine
Yeah.
if I didn't like it, I would be totally suicidal.
Oof. Yeah.
It's
really
gross.
sad. So
Yeah.
you think this toxic groupthink is about funding, it's about
Yep.
money, it's
Yep.
about
Yep. I do.
government dollars.
Because I don't see the care and the compassion that many of us, it's not just me, there's many of us who are trying to say, wait a minute, slow down. This is not a rush. I mean, this is a lifelong thing that you're doing. I have to shoot testosterone for the rest of my life. You know, I have to do these things in order to be this person. I have to still live in this body that isn't really male. I mean, there's many psychological aspects of it that you have to really get your head around. It's not just changing yourself overnight and then, you know, everything's great. You have to, I go to therapy. I continue to do that after 29 years of transition. I still work on my mind.
Yeah. It's good. It shows, like, you're full of light, and you're like you're a very alive person. You're very self-aware, and it's why people love you. And it's also, I think, why it's like people have like a love-hate feeling about you, because they're like, oh, they wish they could have your confidence and your self-awareness and be like owning yourself and comfortable in your skin.
They can. If they would literally calm down, just calm down. No one's telling you can't transition. They're telling you to calm down. I'm telling you, calm down. Like, stop it. I'm here for a reason. You know, if I didn't give a shit about my community, I would leave. I have way too many amazing things in my life. Trust me, I'm just great business stuff, all kinds of stuff happening. I don't need to be here and I don't need to be doing this, but I believe that I have to give back because I have everything. And so for me to just walk away and watch these kids get hurt, I would be a jerk to do that. Instead, I put myself in the line of fire because I believe what happened to me is life-saving. And the kids out there who are getting sucked into this is gross. And so I have to really stand there and say, wait a minute, what are we all doing? And then people like you hear me and you put me on your podcast, and then I get more visibility, and then more people see me and they start saying, hey, wait a minute, Buck can say things that resonate with me, and maybe we need to slow down a little bit. And that's why part of the community doesn't like me, because I'm saying slow down.
And you're not saying anything all that crazy. You're not telling anybody not to transition. You're
Nope.
just basically saying, like, don't confuse your life issues with your trans issues,
That's
Like,
right.
don't get like, if you have life issues and you need therapy for that, don't confuse that with the transitioning process.
That's right.
Because that's when
Exactly.
things get messy, and that's when you're like, "Oh, shit, I have to detransition," and that's when or you get to the end of the transition process and you're not any happier for it.
It's heartbreaking, really. These kids, I talk to a lot of them, I really give them my phone number and have them call me, and I talk to them, and we're both crying, and I'm just like, okay, but now you have opportunity to get yourself back up. And, it's like really sad. It saddens me because it worked out so well for me. And here I am. And then I see this kid who just not that. It's just like mind blowing to me that they even started this stuff and went through it. They went through surgery. You can't get your boobs back. Now you have to do fake boobs. And it's just, the other really insane thing is they're not putting nipples. So they're doing surgery on these youngsters.
Nipples? Are those extra? Are those expensive?
I know. I'm like, wait, I know I'm laughing, but I'm actually crying. I'm like, they're literally not putting the nipples on. The kids are like, it's okay, Buck. You don't understand. It's a new generation. I go, bullshit. It is not a new generation of humans. You need your nipples. They're actually a real thing that your body needs. So why is the surgeon not putting the nipples
where
on?
do the nipples go?
I mean, they just throw them out, but they're like flat-chested with like no nipples. It's the most bizarre
you're telling me
thing.
outside of any hospital, there's a bag of nipples sitting there
Totally.
going unused.
But shame on the surgeon, because the surgeon's probably
Damn.
too lazy to put them on, because it's not easy. You have to you have to make it all perfect, and it's hard, and it's also a whole other part of the surgery. So I'm like, bullshit. The surgeon's just doing that because they're lazy and they don't want to do it. It's gross.
Wow, it's like are you trying to make people look like cyborgs? Like,
There you go, transhumanist, right? That's a whole other level of
that's a
shit
whole
that's
other
happening.
thing.
Transhumanist. I'm like, no, I'm just a human. Like, relax.
Wow. That's a little scary. It's so
It's
important
scary.
that you speak out. Do you and you've been through different like Republican, Democratic administrations, like the rules and laws on bathrooms have gone, I think, back and forth a few times now. How does that affect you? Like, do you care? Do you know what I mean? Like, will you use a female bathroom? Like, do you care about any of that stuff?
Well, come on. First off, I don't care. Even before my transition, I always went into the men's room and no one gave a shit. You know what I mean? I look like a little dude. If the men's room and the women's room are two different spaces. Now, I've been in both, clearly. Women's room is a very different space than the men's room. Women go in there to
For gossip.
socialize.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They socialize in there. Men don't socialize in the toilet. They're either having sex or taking a crap. But other than that, they're not doing what women are doing. So I get why women feel much more. If I walked into the woman's room, they would lose their shit on me. They were like, what? So that being said.
Does anyone have a tampon? Like, what?
Exactly. I'm just like, come on, you got to respect these spaces. And so I'm like, why don't we just have a gender neutral bathroom? We can literally stop this whole thing. But they're like, no, we need to go in the women's room. I go, but why? Why? I'll use gender neutral bathroom. I don't have an issue. You should just be going in there to do your business.
Or have like a single stall. Like, it could be the one that they use for like families or whatever.
That's right.
Like,
that's right.
It's
That's
just,
right.
I
don't understand
either.
Because that's why I'm telling you, there's something else going on there. If they
The
really
ego,
wanted,
the power.
that's right.
So like, I need to own the
Mhm.
space, not
That's
like.
right.
And I also don't think that they would be cool with like a trans only Olympics, a trans only.
Nope, they wouldn't.
I think if
They
part of it
wouldn't.
is the ego trip, the power, the rush of like kicking a bunch of bio women's asses. It's like
That's
you're not
right.
gonna have that in a trans Olympics, which is why
No.
people were talking about, oh, did Leah Thomas, or she was swimming against Isaac, I forget the name of this other Yale swimmer. But there was talk of like, oh, did she like lose on purpose? And her teammates were like, said that she was phoning it in for a few races, like lost, like wanted to lose on purpose so that she could have the argument of, oh, see, it doesn't matter. You can
see
being a trans doesn't mean that you're, going to win automatically every time.
Bullshit.
Meanwhile, Leah Thomas has set national records. Like,
that's right.
Recently,
that women will never ever attain again. I was a professional athlete too. I was a runner. I was headed for the Olympics. I was sponsored by major companies. So I was a female athlete, a professional female athlete. So I know I lived in that space, and that was during the USSR when those girls would get on they were not girls. They were dudes. They looked like me. And I'd be like, I remember looking on the line, I'm like, wait a minute. They were double our size. They had hairy faces. They were just like, they were killing us. And, you know, it's like there's a reason that women can't take steroids in sports. There's that actual reason why. So this whole thing is a joke, and it's embarrassing for the trans community that we're even having this conversation, and that we should, as the trans community, step up and be a little bit more responsible and stop acting like the world hates us, because the world doesn't hate us. I proved that already. They don't hate us. If you come to the world honestly, people don't hate you.
The world is simply a mirror, and your relationships are simply a mirror, and
That's right.
they show you who you are. And if you love yourself, and it's like, I feel like the toxic trans community has pushed this like false sort of self-love. It's like they're confusing true self-love and real validation with like a bullied sort of version of validation. And it's a superficial self-love.
That's right.
Which is why it's fleeting and it doesn't last. And you have the detransitioners and people who are still, unfortunately, like suicidal at the end.
Yeah.
Which is very sad.
It's sad. The whole point is that I'm not suicidal anymore. Oh my God, do you know how huge that is? I tried to kill myself 2 times when I was a youngster. And that being said, oh my God, it didn't happen to me, but I'd never have those. That's the whole point of transitioning, so that you don't have these thoughts, so that you can move forward in your life, so that you can become something. I want to be a part of the world. I don't want to be a trans person. I want to be a dude who's like a badass and creates businesses and does all kinds of fun stuff and has a family. And that's what I want. And that's what most transsexual people want. We want to get back into the world and live our lives. We don't want to be pushing this agenda and that's why it's all new. You know that all this stuff is new. That's never was ever before. So that's why I say I call bullshit on it, because I don't believe it's actually a real thing, and I believe it's going to burn out, and people are going to start to realize what's happening.
Because if you spend your whole adult life like unable to get past like what you're passing as or not passing as, or the laws, or just obsession and like the noise, it's like you can't get to building your business, building your family, like meeting your goals if you never move past. And it seems like this toxic trans community does not want to move past just the like male female thing.
That's right. And that's why that Dr. Phil show says it all, because that is that new trans sort of ideology. And instead of them just saying, okay, that's cool, Matt, if that's what you want to believe in, because that's what I would do. Cool, Matt. That's so cool. That's how you want to see it. And I respect your thought there. But for me, I feel this way. And then what happens is you literally stop that dumb conversation. You're like, oh, okay, we respect each other's ideas. And that's what I did on You Are Here. I said, I get it. I totally understand where you're coming from. And I want you to understand where I'm coming from. And then they did. And then we just moved forward. We didn't have that nonsensical stuff, because those people want to dominate. I don't want to dominate anybody, okay? Unless you ask for it, but that costs extra. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and you're crushing it. You have a business. You have a line of sex toys. I would bring up your website and show these, but I feel like that would get me.
Nah, get you in trouble. Don't do it. I mean, even though they're literally sex toys, and I don't understand why everybody acts so weird about sex toys. It's normal.
No.
Sex is normal. It's healthy. It's actually, that's how I learned to actually really connect to my body. I was so disconnected from myself sexually, and once I learned that masturbation, all that, it's healthy. I don't understand why we can't have this conversation. People, it's healthy to have sex. There's nothing.
Putting this on the screen because there's nothing crazy showing, not like anything.
Nah,
crazy.
Yeah, that's good.
But you have a line on buckangel.com, all sorts of products, fun toys, fun merch, hoodies, lube,
everything.
A buckshot enhancement drink. That's curious.
That's a big
very
seller.
Curious. What's in that?
So this, I call it the boner drink. Basically, it's all natural and has CBD in it, and it's they're doing a lot of studies on erectile dysfunction with CBD. So this stuff sells like mad, and it's so. I'll send you a couple bottles so you can have some fun with your friends.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't need to go to the bodega anymore and buy those boner pills.
Oh no, those don't work. That's why this doesn't stays in stock, because this works. But make sure your man friend only drinks like
A little bit?
Yeah, because he will have a boner for like 2 days.
Because if you drink it all, you'll just be knocking over every
You'll just be
glass
like,
in the house.
totally.
Just knocking over the dogs. That's awesome. I'm gonna get to a couple super chats. Bobby Bob, there was an article a few months ago calling for the abolishment of parenthood in California. Right. They wanted people to be forced by law to give their kids to the state. What?
I thought it was fake. I'm like, this is fake news,
real?
But it wasn't. That's so California. I love living in California. I was born and raised in California. I don't know what's going on here. so please, not all Californians are fucking wingnuts.
Oh my goodness. It kind of reminds me of this, of course, TikTok. All the best content comes from libs of TikTok.
It's the best.
Kid wasn't even born yet and doesn't stand a chance at a normal life. And this is, do we know a gender? Are you not finding out? Are you not assigning a gender? Also, I want that rug badly. Okay, so obviously we're already starting out. This guy has a gut. I don't take him seriously.
That's right. Right on.
There you go.
Hey, so are we assigning our baby a gender? And if so, what is that gender? So short answer is we are not assigning them a gender socially, but we will be assigning them one legally. So you actually can assign an X for their birth certificate here, but we will be choosing M or F based on what they are assigned at birth. And that is because we want them to be able to navigate legal institutions with relative ease. But if at any time our child says, actually, I'd like to change it to X or change it to some other kind of legal sex, that's great. We will happily facilitate that whenever they ask for it. But socially, we're going to be trying to raise them as gender neutral as possible. So we're going to be getting them expansive clothing options. We're going to try to use the them pronouns largely. We are going to try to just give them as many options as possible. And once they're at an age where they can start communicating their gender and their preferences, then we will listen to those and advocate for them. We will be providing a cis-friendly pronoun option for like elderly relatives and stuff who like have a hard time getting it, but we're not announcing that to the internet at the time. Hey, so are we assigning our baby?
Oh boy. I mean, ultimately, this person really wants to sound cutting edge.
That's right. That's right.
This is done 100% to impress the trans community or impress LGBT. It's like a lot of, obviously, it's virtue signaling because at the end of the day, like, a lot of baby toys are not necessarily like male or female. A lot of people do yellows and greens in the nursery. Right. A lot of babies don't know what the fuck they're playing with or doing. And
and then that's child abuse. Just so you know, that's child abuse. I believe that. That is child abuse. You must not do that. Let your child figure it out later on. But the world revolves around biology. I don't care what anybody says. When you tell your child that they're not boy or girl, you're confusing that child. You better wait until that child figures it out on their own. And they want to do that because I guarantee you all these kids that are going to get raised as non-binaries or whatever, they're going to be pissed at their parents when they get older because their parents they did this without asking. That is not consensual. You have to, the world is biology. I don't know why people are having a hard time with this. And I want to say this real quick. I was not assigned anything. I was born a female. And so someone went on my Wikipedia page and put that AF, whatever. And so I'm like, how dare you?
What do you mean AF? Oh, like
assigned female. I was not assigned female. I was born a female. Done. You can see my birth certificate, all of it. It's female.
Why do they have that language, assigned female? What's the point of that?
Because they're trying to say biology is not real, and biology is a social construct. That a doctor sees a vagina, they immediately go female. I'm like, duh, because it's a female.
Of course, you have rare instances, most typically in third world countries, where there is some sort of like genital confusion.
Yes.
But that is rare. And I feel like at birth, a doctor will kind of go, okay, what does it look more like? Let's push them towards that direction.
That's right.
That's
different.
That is different.
That is called intersex. And intersex people are like rare, very rare. And most of the time what they used to do is say, oh, your child's going to grow up all screwed up, so we better fix the genitals. They don't do that anymore, which I think is fair. They should not be making that.
They let it like be.
They let it be until the person can make the choice. So, that being said, that is so rare. And this idea that biology isn't real is so dangerous. It's just dangerous. That's why I'm telling you, they're burning themselves out. People are sick and tired of the nonsensical nonsense. It's just, you cannot take biology off the table. It never will.
No, because biology is going to win every time. Like biology is going to kick your ass every time.
Every time.
You can't fight the moonlight as
That's right.
what's
That's
her face
right.
says. I can't remember. Mandy Moore. Okay, I read that already. No way, Jose. Modern mental health seems like a catch-22. Seems like many are talking kids into it. Thanks again for coming on Tower Power Hour, Chrissy. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jose.
Cool.
Yeah, it takes a lot to
Excellent.
be a parent, it seems like, and now we
It's a
have this
lot.
generation of, like, kind of people not addressing their mental illness becoming parents, and then they're putting that and all parents, you know, you're not gonna be perfect. You're always gonna put some of your baggage onto your kids.
Yep.
It's hard to watch that happen, like, in real time to a whole generation.
Oh my God. And parents like insisting that their child is trans without having any kind of therapy or taking them through the process or just immediately. It's so bizarre to me. Because again, I have a kid. I couldn't even, if he said that to me, I'd be like, cool, dude, let's figure it out. You want to wear a dress to school? You go right ahead. Social transitioning is totally okay with me. My parents socially transitioned me when I was a youngster. I got to dress like a boy. I got to wear the boy clothes. I got to be called by the boy name. You know
How
what I
old
mean?
were you when that happened?
Oh gosh, I started doing that at like 8, 7,
Okay.
6. I dressed like a cowboy at 6 years old, and I was Buck the cowboy. You know what I mean? And there was no weirdness ever. It wasn't puberty did put me in that spiral, but it doesn't mean that they should have given me blockers. It means that I spiraled out because I had
Wow.
gender dysphoria.
That's
But
hard.
looking back, the suffering now made me the person I am. So I, of course, during the suffering you hate it, but now I look at it as a sort of blessing on some level.
Absolutely, and you wouldn't know honestly, I think, like, I mean, it's horrible that you, had times where you felt like you had to take your own life, but honestly, I feel
Yeah.
like God did not let that happen because your
Yeah.
purpose was so much greater and more
Thank you.
important, and you're
Yeah.
giving so many hope, and you're
Thank you.
like, truly educating so many people in a way that's not, like, preachy or shitty or,
Just, this is me, the tranny. This is how it is.
like, I'm just selling fun merch.
That's right. I make sex toys.
Rebel Parish Buck, you're the first trans I ever saw way back
Cool.
in the day in New Orleans. I've followed you ever
Oh,
since. You are an
right on.
inspiration to be a good human.
Oh, sweet. Thank you. I miss New Orleans. I was
Aw.
there during Katrina. Nightmare.
It is not as good as it was. I was there in August and
Oh,
it was rough. There's a lot
yeah,
more people on drugs
that's
in the
right. It went
street.
down. That's so sad. It was a beautiful. I lived in the French Quarter. It was amazing. I loved it.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it was amazing. One of the best experiences of my life. I lived in the French Quarter for 4 years in
How
the Hurricane Katrina.
fun.
It was
Oh,
amazing. It changed my life.
there's a place like it's like no other place.
Yep,
It's really
that's
cool.
right. Magical, magical.
Really?
Yes, I loved it so much, but now it's just a dump now because it just never recovered from Katrina. It sucks.
And I think all the it never control and also the pandemic, I think,
Yep,
really
yep,
knocked it down, and I think
yep.
all the crazy mandates are not helping tourism.
Nope, totally not. Sad.
Mr. Tickle Trunk, today we learned there's probably a black market of nipples.
Your listeners or followers, whatever, are
They're
hilarious.
fun.
They're saying funny stuff.
They pay attention. Oh, what's up, Comics Division? Buck, get out of Cali and come to Texas. You are
I
welcome
thought
here.
about it. I thought about Dallas. I thought about
Yes, Dallas. You'd have like a squadron of friends waiting.
It's awesome there.
Dallas is cool. Okay, so I don't understand the context of this super chat at all. From Unique, does Buck think Cumia paying for Sue Lightning surgery in exchange for sex was
I don't
good?
even know what that is,
Maybe
but
that's an inside joke.
maybe it is. But if you want to exchange for surgery, as long as you're adults, I don't care what you do. That's your business.
Yeah, totally. That makes sense. My God,
Seriously, yeah.
Buck, I'm just I feel like a proud aunt. I just keep wanting to say like I'm so proud of you. You're so great.
No, I think you're awesome too. It's why we connected because we totally get it. There's a way for me and you to connect in the world. I think what we're showing is the representation that we might come from different spaces, but we can actually we can really respect each other and we can we can laugh. I laugh at myself. It's the reason
You
have to. You actually have to. If I don't laugh at myself, it doesn't break that wall down and people are willing to have the conversation with me.
Yeah. And now we know where to get free nipples. It's
That's right.
in the back of a lazy surgeon's
Oh,
back
it's so
door.
gross. It's wrong. It's actually wrong.
Interviewing this adult film star Marika Hase. She was actually getting implants and she said the doctor lost her nipple. I don't know whatever happened, like if they ever found it again. There's a little bit of a language barrier, but if they just had to get one from the lost and found, I don't know.
They can take one of these kids' nipples now. It's so gross.
Oh my God. I bet there's somebody, who knows? There's probably somebody buying them up, some sick fuck.
Actually, you might be right.
Best name I can think of. I once heard that transitioning children could potentially shrink the gay and lesbian population over time. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question. And on some level, I believe that there's homophobia attached to the new trans agenda.
Wow.
And
yeah.
Yes, I do believe that, because on some level, why aren't you just letting the kid figure it out? Maybe they're just gay. Just because they're a butch girl doesn't mean that they're a trans woman or man. It means they could just be a butch girl. So on some level, yes, I do think there's a little homophobia going on there, and it's scary.
Wow. And it's like scary. You have like you're trying to skip over the whole,
that's right,
like, I mean, hardship of like coming out and realizing you're gay, and
that's right.
But that's always going to be there, even whether you transition or not. Like that's
right. Well, that girl who wrote me, she was a gay woman, and she transitioned to be a man, and then realized she did the wrong thing and went back to living as a gay woman again. And there's many gay women that's happening too. And so, yeah, I think that there is some form of this idea. You know, in Iran, they give you free sex changes because they don't want you to be gay. Did you know that? The government pays for your sex change because they'd rather you be a woman or a man than be a gay person. That's a factual space there. Yep.
That's interesting. Yeah, we don't hear it. We should send all of our toxic trans people over there.
Iran.
Like, don't expect the U.S. government.
That's right. Go over there. They'll pay
free
for it.
surgery. Oh my God. What a
I didn't get my surgery paid for. I had to pay for everything out of pocket. Back in the day, no, I had to pay. I still pay for my hormones out of pocket. Like that is now kids are getting everything they need under the insurance space. So I don't know what they're crying about. Like
they
you
don't
guys
appreciate
have
it.
everything.
Yeah.
That's right.
How old were you when you started? Like
in my late 20s.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah. And I went through, you know, it wasn't easy because there wasn't any of this. There was no internet. There was nothing. There was no information. It was really very much the Wild West back then.
And like the argument for transitioning kids or like teenagers younger is like, oh, so they don't have to deal with the I guess the pain of like,
that's right.
It's like you catch them when they're younger and they don't have they don't grow into like a full female form. It's like that's the idea, is that you're saving them from hardship.
That's right. You're saving them from having to deal with what I had to deal with, which was, you know, have my breasts removed and all those things. But again, how ridiculous is that? You are making a choice for a child, okay, as an adult that says, I know who you are. No, you don't. And neither does the child. You're not even giving them mental health care. So it's so absurd. It's absurd. It's crazy. It's like a sci-fi movie.
The child just wants the validation and love of their parents, and if that validation and love is coming in the form of you have to be this specific thing, the kid is gonna bend to whatever.
That's right.
It's like learning a second language when you're young. You just do it because you have to adapt. This is how you have to survive. Kids are all about survival, and it's like, oh, I only get this love and acceptance from my parents if I like sort of agree to be a different sex or a different gender. It's yikes, it's very abusive.
Yikes is a great yikes is that's pretty much it.
Yikes indeed. This was such a great chat, Buck. You're the best. I hope you have a great Buck History Month.
That's awesome.
Anything you want to plug or promote?
No, I mean, just go to Buck Angel if you guys want sex toys. Buckangel.com. If not, I'm accessible on Instagram, Twitter, not really Facebook. But, you know, if you want to reach out, if you guys have any questions or anybody's dealing with a child with, you know, that, I can send you to people I know that are really great experts. And don't suffer because they might be, they might not be. But don't just give into it. Really just make your child feel loved and make your child understand that we're going to go through this together. And I think that's the most important part of that message. Don't just say, yeah, you're trans. Like, let's figure it out together as a family.
Just make them not feel alone, no matter what.
That's right. And I appreciate you a lot, Chrissy, always giving me the space to have these conversations with people. So I appreciate that. You're awesome.
You're the best. Love you, Buck. Thank you, chat, for your comments and super chats. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.